Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Interjections podcast. The four of us like to go through the 1990s, and we started doing 3-4 years ago this Undiscovered Decade podcast to look back at the hidden gems of the 1990s, and we've gotten all the way up to March 1993. And as you can see it behind Corey's shoulder, there's a guy you guys might love to do an impression of sometimes. You know,
Little bit.
you look at your pockets
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
and
Okay, so it's a thriller cop movie. It's really not, it's a comedy. Starring Robert De Niro, Uma Thurman, and Bill Murray as
Did you just read that?
as Bill Murray as a quote unquote villain. He's not he's a gangster, but
he's so lovable.
yeah, he's kind of lovable, but like
I don't know if he's lovable.
so some parts where he tries to play off as sinister, it's Bill Murray, and like I think that's part of the joke, like Bill Murray trying to be a bad guy, and like
There's a reason Jimmy's hidden in the dark a little bit. He's a little shadowy this week. He's not the typical charismatic wild card that we always have.
I've been shunned to the darkness.
There's why you got to what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Jimmy isn't really a bad guy, but when you're in the shadows, you seem like you are.
Yeah.
So that's why Jimmy and I have kind of.
I'm a shady fellow.
It was an interesting.
Yeah.
The role reversal.
Did we figure out how much truth was to that, or if it was just an urban legend about how,
it's in IMDb trivia
that they switch roles?
Apparently, what happened was, because I never told you what I found in the trivia, it's that Bobby was offered the role of Frank Milo, and that's the part Bill Murray eventually plays, the mafia kingpin. And he said, he's like, what if I play this guy, Mad Dog? He's meeker. I can try something different. So then they went to Murray. So I don't know if they had him in mind for the meeker character, but so I don't know if they actually switched. But
I feel like I feel like De Niro is the kind of guy. He read the script. I'm like, I kind of like, this is my guy. I want to be this guy.
Weirdly enough, when you see De Niro in interviews, he's more like the Mad Dog character.
Yeah.
Reserved. Yeah.
Yeah, reserved, quiet, introverted.
Yeah.
I mean, the brilliance
makes sense.
The best part of the appeal of this film was the both of them were playing against type for the most part.
Yeah.
Which was probably refreshing for both of them. A little weird at times.
Yeah, but like it's not
your body's still trying to your brain's still trying to make that connection and be like, I can't tell if Bill Murray's like trying to still be the funny guy, but also being it was a little bit disjointed because we didn't get the sinister vibe that he was probably hoping for because he's Bill Murray.
It was smart that I don't know if after they hired Bill Murray, if they added this stand-up background.
Right.
Because that's a good way for you to get acclimated towards him. Yeah.
See, I thought that was interesting because it was a good way to introduce the fact that he was the mafioso, because none of the jokes in his act were funny, but everyone was laughing like it was the funniest thing they'd ever seen.
Yeah, I mean,
and then you find out later that it's because he owns the club.
Yeah, but like his first joke was kind of a given, because his first joke was like, oh yeah, no, the Costa Nostra, or is that, am I pronouncing it?
Yeah.
Costa Nostra.
Yeah.
Whatever.
No,
like basically, what is that? That's Italian for the family, right?
Right.
Or
our
basically
thing.
That's the mob.
Our thing.
He flat out says
the
Costa Nostra, like us guys when we're born, like when we're like one of those like those kind of jokes, like referencing like, oh, when we grow up, blah blah blah, yada yada, like when we're born, blah yada yada, and then like so on and so forth. So like I mean, at first when I was watching, I thought he was just a comedian hired to play a gig for the mob, but no. Yeah, no, he's in the mob. In fact, he's like one of the head guy, because like he says he's a guy that collects money. I don't think he's like a kingpin, like he's the mob.
Right, you're right.
So I think he's like one of the underdogs, but it's like he's high ranking, so he can, if he needs to put hit on a
owns
guy.
the
He
club,
could
yeah.
put a hit on a
Who
guy.
was the guy in what was that Dustin Hoffman movie we watched in 1990 where he was the head of the family in that? There's November, Nicole Kidman, Bruce Willis had a cameo.
Billy Bathgate.
Yeah,
there we go.
see how memorable that was?
That's not.
So in Billy Bathgate, he has that
I legit
second
don't
in
remember
command.
Dustin Hoffman being in there.
He's Dutch Schultz.
Yeah, a real life gangster. So he had
there we go.
the second in command and the guy that would collect money. He's like that third guy that just screws them over in the end.
Yeah.
He's that rank, so he's probably not even high up, and that's why he's kind of bored. He's looking for something else to do. So
yeah,
he gets
and like one of Bill Murray's things is like how he situationally befriends De Niro. It's like De Niro just gets done like checking out a crime scene because like he's a detective, like, and like he's not like
he's a crime
detective
scene analyst.
Yeah,
not even
a
detective.
meek. He's basically an accountant.
He's still a detective.
He never investigates anything.
Yeah, no. His job is.
No, he does.
Does he
get the photo? Yeah,
he figures out
he investigates.
Yeah, because like
certain parties.
He's not the most stand up. Okay, he's a stand up guy, but he's not the manliest in terms of stereotype. And
he's meek.
He's meek, and it bugs him a little bit because it's like, I'm not the tough guy. I'm just a good guy, and I'm just a good guy in a bad situation.
Two guys in a bad situation.
But it's really just him. Bill Murray's character also bails, and then Robert De Niro's like, "You need to call the cops. I got to catch this guy." Blah 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 blah. And then like, and Bill Murray's character like, "You're a cop? Hell no!" And just walks right out. And then that's like, and he's like, "Wait, aren't you the shop?" And that's when you find out like he's not the shop owner because like Bill Murray's character is like, "No, the shop owner's over there, dead in a cabinet." But go on.
So the two of them form an unlikely friendship, and I think this is because the two of them are in lines of work that don't lend themselves to open up to other people. Like De Niro's off at night doing the crime scene investigations. He's sleeping during the day, so he never gets time to go out. And when he goes out, it's when everyone's at work. So he's not even trying to make friends. He sort of talks to the neighbor across the hall, and she sort of flirts with him, and he doesn't get it. Meanwhile, Frank Milo is this underling in the mafia that is just looking for an extension that isn't just the family. So neither of them express that to each other, but you can tell when they first meet up and hang out that night when...
Oh, no, Bill Murray expresses that to him.
He's at the end.
Yeah. The next day when Bill Murray's character like gets in touch with De Niro, he sends one of his henchmen to the bar. Is like, "Hey, look, come down to the club. Here's an invitation." And then like after they go to after De Niro goes to the club, sees Murray, they go out to the diner, and that's when Murray says like, "Hey, look, I'm a good guy. I'm the arbiter of your dreams. Like I could make any of your wishes come true." And like, yeah, and he just wants to do this guy a solid because Bill Murray's character apparently has a therapist, and it's like, no, that cop, he did a good thing for you. Like,
with the Sopranos and everything. So
right.
So Bill Murray comes and is like, well, I should apologize. I was acting like a dick. I probably should have helped you out a little bit. I bailed on you. You saved my life. I'm sorry. Let me help you out. And part of helping him out is sending a chick to live with him for a week.
Yeah, what a weird gift.
Oh, well, he's in the mob. What's your idea of a gift as a normal person? What's your idea of a gift as a weird mobster that has a comedy club?
Right.
I mean, technically indebted to him.
What do I have to give my new friend who's lonely and doesn't have a wife, but seems to think that he wants one?
A hand job?
Yeah, exactly. That's essentially what he's giving him.
Yeah. For a week.
But he doesn't. He underestimates De Niro and thinks
gift that keeps on giving.
He thinks that he's just getting his new friend laid because she's an object. Uma Thurman's character is an object to Bill Murray, and so he underestimates that Wayne, the character De Niro is playing, will actually want to save her.
Or just
what did you put at the end? This was like. This reminded you of it. It's like Pretty Woman meets Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Because it's a guy that
basically-
discovers
Well-
someone in a
well,
situation that she can't get out of, and he wants to save her.
With that
But
last
it's
scene, it
mafia.
reminded me, even though I never seen it, it reminded me more of you know, I don't do theater, so you're gonna have to help me out remember the name of this one. It's a big one too. It's popular. Spielberg made a remake recently.
West Side Story.
Wow.
There we go. Especially because you had the gangsters and the cops have a little
Yeah.
brawl outside. So like,
That's also Romeo and
over
Juliet.
a girl, yeah, over a girl.
Yeah.
So like,
Romeo and
there
Juliet.
was a
though.
little bit of that, especially at the end.
Yeah, I
It
can
is a
see
little
that.
there is a little Romeo and Juliet.
Have they ever done a Romeo and Juliet cops and robbers sort of thing? Has that ever happened?
I don't think
Huh.
so.
I mean, it's a trope.
I mean,
at
the
this
Boz
point.
Lerman one's.
I'm
basic.
sure someone has.
Yes.
Some
Because it
some
starts off as
lifetime
a
schlock.
yeah, it starts off as a love that could never be. Well, they shouldn't. No, we can't. It's
Yeah,
a
I
love.
think
And then they just
Well,
go right in, right in.
I think
There
you're
also is a
pretty-
bit of like, human trafficking in there as well.
Oh,
right.
Because at one point he like does the math to figure out, okay, you want her, here's how much she's worth to me. And then he literally tries to buy her freedom.
Weird side note. At the comedy club, does anybody notice who's introducing Bill Murray?
Yeah. We're
Just recently
killing.
passed away.
Oh yeah.
We're killing
Oh, I forgot.
everybody on this show.
Richard Belzer
Yeah.
is the MC of the club. I thought De Niro actually did a pretty good job for the most part. When he's menacing, he's capably menacing. When he pins like De Niro up against the wall with a threat of violence, and if we know anything about Bill Murray's off-screen shenanigans, that's not too far off for him. So
No.
it's
Yeah.
weird. This is like the
So-
third Bill Murray movie that we spotlighted. So clearly, he's been doing a lot of underrated gems throughout the decade, and his career takes kind of a dive later in the decade. But
I think that's what was happening. He's popular in the 80s. People don't know exactly what to do with him in the 90s, and he's trying new things, but they're not exactly working. Like he
Right.
tries to direct with Quick Change, our first one. I
he
think
does another good movie with John McNaughton, the director of this, which is Wild Things, which also mixes
Right.
like thriller and comedy.
and that's bookending this decade. So he really doesn't have anything in between this and that, unfortunately.
This is the end of the hurricane season, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen.
Yeah.
Hurricane, yeah, that's right.
Because he has Man Who Knew Too Little and what was the elephant movie?
Larger Than Life,
Yeah.
really bad.
And there's not much else. So unfortunate for him, but then he picks it back up when he meets Wes Anderson and he has a second chapter to his career. So
Right.
he has a bright future once he gets to the 2000s, and he pops up in other things like Broken Flowers with Jim Jarmusch, and he gets like a second lease on life, Lost in Translation. So he gets all these auteurs that were young in the early 90s that build him back up in his later life. So
I think that part of the thing that really helps the movie stand out, aside from the leads, or some of the supporting characters like David Caruso and Mike Starr.
Oh,
really
yeah.
did the movie.
They had
They almost
they
outshine
had-
the leads.
yeah,
in a way.
they add an extra bit of color to being a side character.
every time I looked over at Jimmy, whenever David Caruso was on screen, Jimmy was just beaming.
Yeah, because this is the most like lively he's ever. Because like watching him on CIS, he's so just like monotone and dry.
See,
but like here's like he's
Yeah.
wily as shit. Like you don't want to pick a fight with him.
Yeah,
yeah, that is
Well, him and Mike Starr get into a fight at the end, and it's the most
it's a good fight.
he was
Yeah,
the
it
most
was-
top of them all.
exhilarating.
Yeah,
It was very
he got it.
it was very anime the way
He
the,
understood the
the
assignment.
fight ended because like
Yes.
neither man could win. Can't help but
Two
form
men
each
enter,
other.
one man leave.
Yeah, but both men were just like they beat the crap out of each other. This scrawny, wily Irish dude and this big giant like Italian dude. One cop, one mafioso, and they're just wailing on each other in Wayne's apartment. And like Wayne and Wayne and what's Bill Murray's character again?
Frank.
Frank from Milo. I can remember the Milo part, but not the Frank. So like Frank and Wayne
That's
walk
funny.
into Wayne's apartment, and then like they're just both sitting there, just like kind of panting and just taking a break from fighting, and their faces are all beat up, and they're like, "Yeah, no." One of the like few like really good lines from Bill Murray came like right after that fight. There, he just like looks at Wayne, and is like, "So you have other guys fight your wars for you?" And he goes, "Well, I'm one to talk."
Yeah,
She's
that's
like, all right,
one of the best jokes.
okay, it's like, all right, come on, let's just talk about this. Let's just like,
Yeah.
he's a weird gangster that kind of just half crumbles on things, but like he's just being
Well-
kind of nice. It's like, all right, I'm gonna get something. Like I'm gonna get my money, and something's gonna come out of this.
I think
But I'm gonna
this
give you
is
one more shot.
one of the best taglines I've ever seen, because I just looked up the poster for this movie, and
Oh.
it's like, of all of the movies that I've seen, this actually sums it up pretty good on the poster. A cop who'd rather be an artist, a mobster who'd rather be a comic, and a woman who'd rather be anywhere but between them.
It's great.
Yeah,
It's
that's
accurate.
good.
So dumb, but absolutely 1000% accurate, because that's
Yeah.
kind of that's it. That's all you need.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, it feels like they fed them that tagline and just said go. Like, I don't even know how much of a script there was.
I was gonna say in an alternate universe, this could have played real broad, but I think Richard Price's script is very literate. The line that that Jimmy said, the facilitator of his dreams. Like it's
Arbiter.
just so
yeah.
just
Well, I
so
said arbiter, but I'm pretty
It
sure
is
Bill Murray
arbiter.
said Phyllis. I
It's
thought he was
arbiter.
Expediter.
expediter.
There we go.
That's what it is.
The performances were great. It was just like a matter of how much they were given from the script. And then like, it
I
felt like
wonder how
at
much.
points it felt like they were playing against type, and they were just like not sure what to do.
It for once felt like Murray never riffed. He's actually writing down, or they knew how to write for him, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Well, there was one part I definitely think he improvised when he's in the diner with De Niro and Mike Starr's like, I think that's Phil Donahue. He's like, why don't you put that magazine down before you hurt yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, they seem to be able to play off each other really well. So maybe the fact that Mike Starr has some comedy chops, maybe they just had good chemistry.
Yeah,
So
it is weird
the
to think
banter
that
feels real.
De Niro and Murray have really good chemistry together, along with De Niro and subsequently Uma Thurman, who we haven't really talked much about, but I think she's great in the movie too. She doesn't get enough praise because she could have easily played this as manipulative, and at certain points in the movie, you're not quite sure what her loyalty is,
Right.
who her allegiance is to. But then by the end, it seems very heartfelt and genuine that she wants to be with Wayne.
Yeah, I think they cut away before she ever goes inside because you're not sure that it's actually going to work out. But
It's the Graduate ending.
right, you want them to end up together, so that's
It's a little
why
ambiguous.
they stop it there. But I think she genuinely wants him to be safe at the very least, and she actually likes him. I mean, she does have sex with him, so she's actually physically attracted to him.
Right.
I don't think it's just because she's over.
Right.
Well, at the point when they first have sex, like you're like kind of like, there's still part of you that kind of thinks like, is she doing it because like she has to, or
Right.
He doesn't force it per se, so
Yeah.
it's, I think, genuine.
yeah.
But
Well, it's not
I'm not
that
sure.
like he never did force the sex. He was just kind of like, he was just there, and it's like kind of like he was tempted, but then like he definitely like backed off and was like, no, not doing this.
She
And
was
then, like,
more
she
so the
kinda into
proactive
it.
one.
Right.
Yeah,
And
but
the
like
question
she
is,
did it.
is she proactive because she's being forced to be out of
Yeah,
his
because
apartment?
like it's
And
her
if she
it's her
doesn't do it,
job, or
right.
yeah. But like what like then again, like how's Frank gonna really know? Like she could
Right.
just tell him like, yeah, no, I had sex with him and it was fine. So like
Right.
it takes a little bit for the viewer to like, or at least for me to be like, okay, so maybe she is into him, until like they go around to it. It's like, okay, yeah, no, she's into him.
I mean, that's certainly what we're supposed to think in 1993. If this were made today, I don't know what the actual politics would be. Would they get subtler with things? Would they get the minutia of what her character actually wants? Because I still think in the 90s they don't give women a lot of agency in certain respects, but I think this is on the right path at the very least.
I think plot wise, she has to be like that because
Right.
she's in debt because of her brother, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So then it kind of negates any possibility of decision making on her part.
Right.
But I think by having her initiate, it gives her any agency. So, because she could just not go through with it. I think that'd be a different story.
Right.
I think in the beginning, in the beginning, she still feels obligated to Frank, but then like as the thing goes on, she sort of has this realization that she doesn't necessarily need to be involved in either of them, but this guy's being nice to her, so she'll try to make things work out for him and as best she can in that situation. And then I don't know, they become better people for it.
Yeah. I also want to point out that I think De Niro has a bit of I don't know how to put this, but I don't want to just say subtlety. He has different characteristics with his chemistry with his interactions with all the supporting cast and Frank as well as the lead.
Yeah.
Because he opens up to Frank, obviously, in the montage where they become best friends. He's more reserved with Kathy Baker across the hall. He opens up to Uma as time goes on because she lets him open to her. But then with David Caruso, he's like a child. He never actually opens up, and that's
the one time he does after that liquor store hold up, he tells him he pissed himself pulling out his gun. But the scene before that, he says, "Hey, can you call me Wayne?" Which makes you think
he's trying.
They're a little bit alienated. There's a bit of a distance between these two.
Right.
They're not quite friends.
But you
they're
see,
they're like job acquaintances.
Every time they're at the bar together, he never looks at Caruso. He's always just like, "Can we get through this conversation so you get out of here so I can just have my drink?" Because he's just like, "I don't want to bother anymore." He's given up at his job.
No, I think
his
what it is, I don't think it's that he's given up. He's like in the routine. Like
right.
that's his life.
That's
like I don't think he I think he's settled. Because because when he talks about like in this conversation with Uma Thurman, little character reveal, like when he talks about like how he wanted to become an artist, but I don't think he in the conversation he didn't realize till like later he wanted to be an artist. Really, he became a cop because he overcorrected because he grew up with his dad being a hat salesman or some kind of salesman, and he knew his dad was a hard worker, but he saw people push him around his whole life. So he's like, yeah, no, I didn't want to grow up to be that. So I may have overcorrected a little bit and became a cop. But deep down, he wanted to be a artist. But then as he goes on with the conversation, because like you see all his photos around his apartment, he realized within like his career, despite the fact that he wants to be an artist, deep down, he's still a cop because he acts and thinks and behaves and like goes out like a cop.
He's analytical.
And like in the conversation he talks like he spoke to like artists in a commune like at some point in his career, and like it was I think some artists or him like in the conversation that he's like flashing back to, he realizes like all the things that he's photographing are things that he finds, he discovers, and that kind of like leans into how he is a cop, because like you go in and you got to go investigate and find things. So like things that he photographs for pleasure versus like things he has to photograph for work, like no matter how like different they are in terms of the context of what he's photographing, but like the process is still the same. He's just going out and discovering things, whether on the work.
They go hand in hand.
At the same time, he also is taking private crime scene photos and framing them in his house. Like,
because
a little bit of a questionable vibe there.
I mean, not gonna lie, like they do look like good photos. Like,
I
love photography.
That's fine.
And, like,
I'm sure they are, but
he does have scruples though, because when Frank comes to the police station, and he's like charmed everybody in the police station, so you're thinking like, oh, these people could be corrupt. He's the one that's just like, maybe a little professional. A little professional. Like, don't come into my workplace, you know.
He comes in bringing pineapple upside down cake, you know.
Yeah, it did look good too.
Oh yeah.
Then he made it right side up in the trash can.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. Well, so we didn't really talk about Mike Starr, but I did like a lot of his points. Like he doesn't get a lot to do, but his range is good enough to convey that he's happy to be where he is in life, but he won't take pushing back as an answer. Like he wants to fight Caruso the whole time. He's
Yeah.
loyal.
He's
to
a- he's a
Frank.
Yeah, that was seething from the beginning.
He's a
They built
gentle
it up.
giant. He's the thing is like he's a
Right.
gentle giant and like he's big and imposing, so you don't want to mess with him. But like he's being polite about everything, like absolutely nice and courteous. But don't fuck with him.
My point is, I think he knows that Frank wants to be a comic, and he's supportive of that. So he's
Yeah.
already a good friend.
Right.
That Frank could go off with him, but he's kind of too dumb for Frank to deal with. So I don't know if that's what
It's probably why
missing
he just kind of lets like why Frank lets him just kind of be there when he is around and just kind of like do his own thing, sort of. Because like while he's at the police station, while Frank's palling around with the other cops, he walks in and is like, "You're gonna," like, he just grabs a piece of cake, like just doesn't like ask Frank for permission. He's just like,
Yeah.
just grabs it and like, "You're gonna, all right."
He seems like one of those guys who like
Again, a gentle giant that does his, it's like he does what he does.
he's one of those
Yeah.
guys who like never aspired to be the boss, but it's just, he's been around for a while. So
He's happy to be a lackey.
he's a company man,
And he's with one of the easiest guys to follow around.
Yeah,
So
and like one of the and it goes in line with that whole lackey thing, because like when he's talking to De Niro and inviting him to the club, it's like, hey, come, don't come, either way, I get paid.
Yeah.
Like he's chill, he's cool, he's fine.
That was his best
Everything
line.
is hunky dory.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's kind of a fascinating character that they don't go enough into. But
and then it goes into going back to Kathy Baker too and her whole storyline. Like it felt like she also didn't really get that much to do. She was just sort of like a B plot because she's the neighbor who lives across the hall, and at one
Maybe
point
even a
she's supposed
C
to-
plot.
You're supposed right, but that's the thing is like the way she's introduced, you're supposed to think like, okay, are they, it's another potential romantic person, but then you find out later on that she's dating another cop who ends up like punching her around.
Yeah.
Which, then I guess is supposed to show De Niro's or it's supposed to
Caruso.
show Wayne's his opportunity to stand up, but then that's when you actually see David Caruso stand up to the other guy.
Yeah, well, he actually gets one opportunity, and Caruso gets a second opportunity later
Right.
after De Niro explains the situation to him at the bar.
It was a nice moment of seeing authority figures talk, try to put other authority figures in their place.
Yeah.
I do think Kathy Baker's more of a tool to facilitate the other characters around her,
Right.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
So she
No,
doesn't
she's
get
obviously-
enough character.
Yeah, like all the
But-
other supporting characters, I feel like you could have branched out and done character studies on any of those other characters, and would have been a fascinating movie, which is probably why it feels so novelistic.
I think that's why I like this movie, because it has enough layers that you could want to go off and see what the supporting characters are up to, but they just the point of them supporting the main two or three is to make it layered. So
usually the
that's
supporting
the
characters
hallmark of a good
almost
film.
like usually the supporting characters in movies like this are like a generalized version of the Bechdel test. Like,
Right.
do they have interior lives outside of the plot?
Right.
But when you watch a movie like this, you're just like, oh, you know what? I would be interested to see what David Caruso does when he goes home at night.
Right.
I'd
Does
be
he have a
interested to
wife?
see what happens with Mike Starr after he clocks out at the end of the day.
Yeah. He obviously brings a couple other cops over to help Wayne at the end. So obviously they actually like him despite picking on him.
Well, you know what?
I don't think they pick on
I don't think they
on
pick
Wayne.
on him.
Yeah,
well, they call him Mad Dog
call-
because it's kind of a joke about him
Because he's
being
timid.
too timid. Yeah,
like
so
calling
they're
a dude
picking
that's
on
But
him.
when he's at
The
the
title of the
crime
film
scene,
is picking on him.
well, he's at the crime scene. He takes the lead. And he's like, I think this blood spatter means this, and they're like, okay.
But he kept a calm, cool tone about him. He wasn't shaky. He wasn't like his character seemed like he knew what he was saying. But it turned out later on in the movie, we find out like, no, things were okay. He was scared. He was shitting his pants internally. Like he was just like, oh no, and like
Right.
he's watching a cop movie at some point, and like he sees a cop pull out a gun and kill a criminal, and he's like, why couldn't I do that? Like that's a social expectation, right? Like that's what a cop should do.
I think that's why the name's ironic.
So
My
so
memory
like,
of it is they call him
so
throughout
so in
the
the beginning
movie.
of the movie, it's like he rejects the title. It's like, no, don't call me that.
Yeah,
Right.
And then you
he's-
find
and
out
then he's
why,
accepting
and
it
then at
later
the
on.
end, he's like, okay, nah, no, you
Yeah.
call me Mad Dog now.
Yeah, because it was more like he was being
Because
made fun of in the
didn't say
beginning.
like, nah.
Okay. All right. I think I get what Jimmy's on to.
Yeah.
He grew into his nickname. Although I
He
do think it's
accepted
funny
it
how
by
like,
the end.
Yeah.
well, it's interesting because like in the beginning he's very like obviously yeah, timid, gets thrown around a lot, but like he's very meticulous with his crime scene photos, and like he puts on these little readers and he looks way older than he's supposed to be. And it's just
Well,
like
he is
he's
49.
literally just
I
an
was
old
gonna say he's
man
supposed to look.
doing this, which then makes it a little bit more questionable when he and Glory hook up later, but
She's 22.
she's 22 and he's like 47 at this point.
Yeah.
But anyway, but then like after that happens, then he's literally singing at the next crime scene that he's at.
Oh yeah, he's
Just
singing
to-
at a dead
just to say
body.
it. I'm like,
Turns on a jukebox in the middle of a diner of the crime scene, and just like
and nobody
starts
questions it.
dancing.
Nobody-
Well,
no.
They
everybody-
just,
They're
they
like,
just
"Oh,
want
that's-
him to be happy.
That's
No,
just Mad
yeah.
Dog.
They're
yeah,
supportive.
they're
that's why.
watching very cautiously, like, what's going on? And they're like, oh, he's having a good time. And they're just kind of just like going with it.
I don't know, man.
So, what would we grade this film?
Probably give it an A-. I think
Oh,
I think it
Wow.
balances. Yeah, I love it.
It's your
I think it
suggestion.
balances,
I would've thought A plus.
It balances the more solemn subject matter of the movie, which actually in that first scene it's played not for laughs. That gangland shooting is not played for laughs. Actually, it's in black and white. I'm guessing probably because of the MPAA.
Hmm.
But I think it's on that razor's edge of being too serious, too dramatic, and then comedic at the same time. It's like middle brow, but in a good way. And I
Mhm.
think the role reversal works perfectly. I think
I think so.
I think Murray's malevolent when he needs to be, and he's threatening when he needs to be. And I think De Niro's great at playing kind of a kind of a introverted sad sack. And they got great chemistry together.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
I was gonna give it an A- too.
Oh, all
Nice.
right. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Oh, I'll give mine first because Jeff's giving a grimace. I was gonna give it an A plus. This is one of my favorite movies
Nice.
we've covered.
Awesome.
I liked it even more this time because Corey showed it to me in college a few years into us knowing each other because he's like, "Oh, you got to see this. The role reversal is incredible."
Yeah.
And I remembered it fondly, but I was like, maybe I just liked it because it was something Corey and I shared, But no, I like Bobby's subtlety here, all the different changes he has with each character. That's why I brought that up.
Mhm.
Uma shining before she's even in Pulp Fiction. So, and I love Murray, but Jeff.
No.
I got to give it a C plus.
God damn it.
Surprise.
It was like some of the chemistry was good, but for a majority of it was just so disjointed for me that like I just couldn't. I kept turning to Tristan. I'm like, what is this? What is going on right now?
And I kept having to be like, just let it happen.
This is not. And it wasn't even just like, oh my god, I can't believe that happened. It was more like,
Why?
why is this?
Why?
I'm having trouble following the logic with a lot of these decisions that they made. So the performances were great. The script and direction left something to be desired. And
Yeah.
you
I
know,
guess we're not covering Wild Things when that comes
no,
out.
I mean, who knows?
You never know.
The old switcheroo where Scorsese puts his name on just as producer. So you're going thinking, oh man, I'm gonna get a Scorsese movie, and then nope.
Got the tone of like After Hours. Years later, I remember the other big role reversal movie was Pineapple Express.
Oh, right, because Seth Rogen was going to play the stoner.
Yeah.
James Franco
They
could play a
switched it.
cop or like a meek.
And everybody praised that like it was so inspired, and I was like, I've seen this done, and this was the prime example.
There's got to
It's
be
done
other
well.
ones.
It works.
But Jeff hates it, so
I didn't say I hated it. I said I gave it a
throw
C
the
plus.
trash.
Well,
I didn't
Corey
hate
C
it.
is everyone else's F. So
Whatever. I said what I
Yeah.
said.
I know.
he kept looking at me like, "What are we doing this one?"
Oh God, he ain't going like next month.
I don't know when the sex scene was going on for a 4-minute take. I'm like, what?
It's supposed to be awkward.
Yeah, but like, not that much. The audience isn't supposed to feel that awkward.
Yeah, vicarious awkwardness.
But like,
We're supposed to feel for him.
Yeah,
And it ended up being more like, okay, cool, good for you, buddy.
When's the
Why
last
am
time
I
we had
still
sex?
here?
We don't know.
Yeah.
Well, he says 2 years.
2 years.
And he says,
right,
make love. And she
Which is
liked that.
like something from medieval
said that.
times.
Yeah. He was
He's
so
a
romantic.
Byronic hero.
Yeah. He's so meek that he's ironically romantic.
Chivalrous. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
I'm not saying you guys are wrong. I'm just saying it felt like, good for him. He got his goal, but then we're just still sitting in the room for like 5 minutes.
You don't like being a voyeur?
You guys want to like?
They gotta
close the door. Like,
come on,
I
it's the
think,
90s.
I think Jeff just didn't like watching with Jimmy and I in the room. That's all.
it was a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean,
got
you
up
two
and left for a little while.
I mean, you two were sitting next
We're
to each
all
other on
gonna
the
watch
couch.
Eyes Wide Shut in '99 together.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Same room.
fun.
Cool.
Same room.
But that's not a hidden gem. Everybody knows about that.
Yeah, it's coming back.
Yeah, well,
Everyone's
there's
There's
trying
so
to
many
reclaim it.
references to it.
Yeah.
I guess.
Be the Kubrick
There's
special.
There's really no hidden gem for Kubrick. Maybe his early stuff, like Paths of
Hey.
Glory, even
Oh,
that's
yeah.
like
Killing is not well
Yeah,
regarded. Do you
the
think?
first two.
The Killing It? Oh, I love that one. That was a good one.
I know it's a great movie, but I don't think people talk about it.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
no.
mostly those two are because
Like, you'd
they're
have to
his
be like
early
a
ones.
like serious movie buff or like
Lolita, people don't really talk about either.